Well, I definitely feel like a plug is a really good way to not only find fish but to catch big fish. And you know, a lot of people, I think one of the things that I see a lot of novice anglers do with a crankbait is they just throw it out there and they reel it in kind of slow. And with a crankbait, a lot of times, especially in the warmer months of the year, speed is the trick. And a lot of times the faster the better, especially if the water is clear. My philosophy on the retrieve when the water's warm is the clearer the water, the faster I want my bait moving. The dirtier the water, probably the more slower I want my bait moving. The faster you bring it through the strike zone, the less time they have to think about it, and it's more of a reaction by it. So, just thump there. Another real key when you're fishing offshore is you know, I think people have kind of gotten away from you know, when I was growing up, we didn't have GPS or anything like that. We had to line up with like a landmark on the shore and another landmark, and we had to be real precise and pay attention to our electronics. And with the technology we have nowadays, I think a lot of times people don't really understand what it is that they're fishing. And what I mean by that is well, what do you mean by that? You don't have to be really good at fishing offshore, you have to have a pretty good visual understanding in your head of what you're fishing. You know, why are the fish there? One of the things that I tell people all the time is as you're riding down the road, you know, in your vehicle, kind of picture what it would look like if it was filled with water. And you go up a hill and you go down in a creek channel, or you go, you know, visualize that as water. And another thing I always tell people is I always try to fish intersections. And I put that kind of in real terms. In driving on the road, what's the busiest part of the road? It's an intersection. And I think the same kind of relates to fishing, is if you stay in high percentage areas like an intersection, a point where two things come together, they're travel routes for fish, and your percentages are going to go up if you stay in those busy travel routes. And most often times that's some type of intersection. I think that's why points are so good instead of just say a straight bank. Points are a migration route where you have fish coming from one side of the point and another side of the point, and they meet up on the point and they kind of intersect. That's why points are always good. So just keep that in mind when you're fishing offshore. Try to fish the intersections, maybe where a creek channel runs into a river channel, points, you know, a road bed that runs across a point's always great. Another thing when you're fishing offshore is I always carry a marker with me. You know, I see a lot of people, you know, they fish offshore now, they'll catch a fish, they mark a waypoint, and they kind of drift off their spot, and they don't remember the exact casting angle that they were at. So I still carry, I'm kind of old school, I still carry a marker in there. I catch a fish, I'll mark a waypoint, but I also throw out a buoy and remember the casting angle that I was casting at. To put it into real terms, when you're going down the bank and you're fishing shallow visible cover, you come to a dock, or you come to a log, or you come to, you know, a stump or something like that, you're real precise about your cast. You want to make that cast exactly, you know, beside that stump, beside that laydown, beside that dock. When you're fishing offshore, a lot of people don't have that mindset when you're fishing offshore. They just are just casting. But it's precision out here as well. There might be one little stump if you cast, or one big stump. If you cast 5 yards to the left of it or 5 yards to the right of it, you're not going to get a bite. But if you come right beside it, you might trigger a big school into biting. So being precise out here is just as important as being precise when you're up fishing shallow. So keep that mindset whenever you're fishing offshore as well.